matches up. And in the case of Mark, it was very favorable in my experience. So, Dr. Bullen.
Thank you very much, Philip, for that introduction. And I'd forgotten that that was the first time we had actually met, was online, and it certainly is. I always find it interesting to meet students that I have taught online, and then to meet them face to face, and to actually compare, impressions. And more often than not, the impression you get online is actually very close to what you encounter face to face. It's a pleasure to be here, although as I looked out my window this morning, I was starting to rethink that. One of the ironic things is in Vancouver this winter, we've had one of the worst weathers that I can remember, and I've lived there most of my life. And so coming to Regina, when I arrived here, I thought it's great to be somewhere that actually has some sun and is relatively warm. So when I woke up this morning, I was wondering what's going on, because I'm probably going to go back to Vancouver and get exactly the same thing, although perhaps not snow, but it's been very cold and wintry in Vancouver. But it is great to be here. This is the first time I've been to Regina, the first time I've been to this conference, and I have to say, based on the first day of presentations yesterday, I'm really impressed. The presentations I went to were extremely high quality and all extremely relevant to the work that I'm doing at BCIT. So I'm looking forward to the rest of today, and looking forward to some more interesting presentations. One of the things that I always get a little bit nervous when I speak on this topic, or a little bit concerned, because when I've spoken on this topic before, I sometimes get the reaction from some people that I'm presenting a kind of anti-technology perspective, that I'm one of those people that I think Rory was alluding to in his presentation yesterday, that wants to to hold back and to go back to the days of the chalkboard and the slate. So I want to make it clear at the outset that that's not what I'm trying to say in my presentation. So I want to make a bit of a technological confession and just I guess establish my technology credentials, because I really am somebody who supports the effective use of learning technology. And so I do have a Facebook account, and I actually use it. I have, until a few weeks ago, I had an iPod Touch. It got stolen from a hotel room in Barcelona, but I like to use the technology. I have a BlackBerry that I use very extensively. I have a blog that I maintain. I use Twitter. I use Flickr. I use LinkedIn. So, I'm using all these new emerging technologies. I think there is value in them. There is a place for them in education, but I think we need to be clear about why we're using them, and to make sure that we're using them for legitimate reasons and not based on some generalization about an entire generation that may or may not be accurate. So having said that, I will move into the presentation, and I'm going to try to keep this relatively short. I think I've timed it so that there will be plenty of time for questions. So in other words, I'm not going to take the full hour, I hope, unless I totally underestimated the content. But really what I want to talk about is this whole notion of the net generation, and I'm sure you all have heard that term, and you probably all have an idea of what that means. But what you may not know, if you were like me until a few months ago, or about a year ago, I guess, you may not realize that the claims that are being made about this generation, the claims that suggest that this generation is so fundamentally different than previous generations that we need to make substantial changes to our educational systems, to our workplaces, to society in general, that these claims really, as far as I can determine, are not based on any sound research. They are claims that are being made by people who who have legitimate reasons for making those claims and are making them based on some observations of that generation. But if you actually look at the underlying research, it's not sound. And so what concerns me about that is that we as educators are, in some cases, have already started to make changes based on those claims, and in many other cases are actually contemplating significant changes to how we teach, how we learn, how we organize our institutions based on claims that may not be sound. So what I want to do in the presentation is first of all, just explain a little bit about what the net generation is and why it matters, and I think I've already sort of made the case for why it matters. What are some of the claims about that generation that are being made? And there's quite a long list that goes into considerable detail. And then I want to look at the actual literature that is used to support those claims and point out some of the weaknesses in it. And then show